Hey everybody, welcome to another Connect 365. I'm glad you chose to join us, whether you're doing this in the morning, whether you're doing this in the afternoon or the evening. I'm glad you chose to have your daily devotional with us. Man, that story that we read over in 1 Samuel with Eli, it reminded me of a story of my childhood. There was a time when I was downstairs in our house and I said, "Mom, yes," and she said, "I didn't call you." And I came up and I said, "Mom, yes." She said, "I didn't call you." And I said it again, and she said to me, she said, "You remind me of the story of Eli and Samuel." And that's the story that was in our devotion on today. And it reminded her of that because Samuel hears the voice of God. But because Ichabod had been happening in the church and in the sanctuary, and God's presence had left the church, they did not recognize God's voice. He did not know how to recognize when it was God. God was speaking, he was hearing, but he had no recognition. I want to tell you today that God will speak to you. You have to learn to hear him, but not just hear him. You have to learn to recognize his voice. Every voice that you hear is not God. Everything that you hear is not God. Sometimes it's your own mind, but you need to learn to recognize the voice of God. Know when God is calling you, know when God is hearing you, so that you can have the proper response. When you have this proper response, you'll be right in the right place for God to use you for the things that he wants to use you for. God has a plan for you. God has a desire for you. God has things that he wants to line up for you. He's waiting for you to recognize his voice. You know how sometimes people will call you on your cell phone and you'll say, "Who is this? I don't recognize the number." But even when you don't recognize the number, sometimes after the person starts speaking, you recognize the voice. Listen, God's method may be different for all of us, but know it when you hear it. Know the voice of God. And when you recognize it, respond to it and do what God is calling you to do. Do what God is directing you to do, because God wants to use you in a great way. This is a Connect 365 moment. Remember to share and subscribe, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.